Aperture.
Hi, everyone. How's everyone? Thank you very much for having me here. Emily, thank you very much, Arthur, the whole team at Aperture. So first of all, this is insane. Being here, it's amazing. Being able to be part of this, it's a dream. Definitely, it's a dream come true. Being in being featured in Aperture, it's something every single photographer wants and should want because it's gorgeous. Thank you very much for this. Another thing is that I'm kind of stuffy because I have like a sinus problem. So if I sound weird, excuse me, I have like tea and water and like candy here for this. Sorry if I sound weird. I'm going to share my screen right now, start the presentation. Can Arthur please confirm if you see my screen? Yes, okay, great. I'm gonna talk a little, like a tiny bit about me. Like Emily was saying, I used to be a fashion photographer. I left Guatemala when I was really young, went straight to New York, became a fashion photography assistant. And that's how my formation started. I'm self-taught, kind of self-taught. I learned how to be a photographer being an assistant. And I did the fashion game for more than a decade. And it was great to be able to learn how to use a camera, learn how to talk to people, and learn the whole thing. One thing led to another, and I was back in Guatemala after more than a decade of being in New York. So it was hard times for me, a lot of like personal turmoil in my life, and I decided to stop shooting. I decided to stop shooting for some time. I didn't know how long it was going to take. It took me maybe 6 or 7 years to be able to do a project again. I'm saying all this because my work shifted from being, I love fashion though. I mean, don't take me wrong. Fashion photography, it's beautiful, it's amazing, really, really hard to do. But it got to a point where I think the cycle ended for me. And I really wanted to do stuff that was more deep, you know, and I wanted to communicate different things, but I never learned how to do that being a fashion photographer. We're speaking with Emily and Arthur that it's so different, you know, being a fashion photographer, you never talk about your work, you never show your work in the way like things like this happen, you know. So I didn't know anything about that. I stopped shooting because I felt really insecure about my work, and I knew I didn't want to be a fashion photographer and couldn't be a fashion photographer down here in Guatemala, where I am right now. So almost 7 years after that, I started thinking about this new project. It's called Tonatu. I really started thinking about this project in 2015 and started really doing research and sitting down to talk about it, to write about it, and to do research in 2017, and published the work as a book in 2019. This work changed my life. This project definitely changed my life. It's the best thing that ever happened to me. Really, really happy about how this turned out. The collection of images made sense. And my only intention with this work was to find myself again and find myself in this geographic territory. The territory is really, really important for me because I've always been a nomad. I was an immigrant. I went up to the United States, basically had a tourist visa, overstayed my visa. So I was an illegal immigrant for a bunch of time, you know? So it was really important for me to find myself again in my territory and being able to talk about it. It was really, really important for me. So this is just a few images of that work. And it's important to show you this because I'm gonna get to that, but this wasn't the project I wanted to do. I really didn't want to do this project. I found myself almost obligated to do this because I didn't know how to do what I wanted to do, which is the project we're going to talk about later. But Tonatu, I basically followed the steps of Pedro de Alvarado, who is the Spanish conqueror of Guatemala and Central America. It was really important for me to find where the story started in our territory. You know, this is a depiction of him. And the project, basically, it's me following his steps in a year. I shot for a year, shot 185 rolls of film, decided to shoot film. I repent to myself, but I love it. And I'm still shooting film, but I decided to go that way. And yeah, I did a lot of traveling, a lot of finding things that I didn't know existed. Shooting the landscape was beautiful. It was really, really beautiful to be around all these historical places. And this project was insane. I love it, and I'm really proud of it. And the reason why I say this wasn't the project I wanted to do is because in 2015, my bread and butter work, which is I'm an art director, and I run a design studio with a partner here in Guatemala, takes me to South America a lot. 2014, 2015, I get to go to Peru, I get to go to Ecuador a lot, I get to go to Bolivia, and I get to visit all these amazing places where the social, cultural scene up in the mountains, up in the highlands, it's beautiful, and it's really, really, really an amazing example of indigenous power. You know, Guatemala, I grew up in somewhere where more than 60% of the population is from indigenous origins, but more than 60% of the population lives under the poverty line, you know? So being able to experience this amazing displays of power, of economical, cultural, and energetic power changed my life. So I was extremely inspired by the indigenous power movement in South America. And all I could think about was, oh my God, Guatemala. This is Guatemala. Guatemala is going to be there really, really soon. My people, my territory is going to be able to reach this level of power, you know? And that's the first thing I realized, that the timeline in our territory is off, you know, for many, many reasons that if we get into this right now, guys, we're going to be here until 3 a.m. But there are many, many reasons why our timeline is off. Two of the main reasons is we had a war for more than 36 years in our territory, and colonization, basically. So it's off. Then my dream was to make a project about indigenous power, you know, and I wanted to make Genesis. And I had the name of the book before I started shooting. I knew it was going to be called Genesis because I wanted to show people the Genesis, the beginning of what's going to happen in 25 years. You know, couldn't do that, didn't know how to do it. So I made Tonatu. I made a book about history. I made a book about research. I wasn't sure of what I wanted to say, you know. Sorry, I wasn't sure of what I wanted to say, you know. And after doing Tonatu, I gained the confidence to speak. Tonatu, I'm not speaking that much. I'm not saying, I'm saying things, but you know, the layers of information are not that deep. And I think this new work is going to have all the messages I wanted to give people. Okay, so this image that you see right here, it's from Tonatu. So while I'm shooting Tonatu, I realized that there's all these images that I should not be doing because they don't fit in the work. They don't fit in this project, you know? And this image, I'm so sorry that I put it in Tonatu because it doesn't belong in that book, you know? This image, it's basically what I wanted to say about, I wanted to talk about in Genesis in my new project. The thing is that I didn't, like back then, I didn't know it yet because I wanted to talk about money and power, you know? But the real topic was hybrid culture, technology, and change, you know? Generation Z. And this image really, really belongs in Genesis, but I don't care. It's cool. It's in Tonatu. Everyone loves it. It's great. So right now, we're going to see a little bit of what I'm doing with this new project. like I said, Genesis, it's focused on how our territory is changing. And all I can do right now is document what's happening. There's nothing else I can do. There's not a lot I can say. It's just a matter of like things are happening in front of me, and all I can do is document that, is take pictures of that. So I want to talk about power. I want to talk definitely about economics. And I want to talk about how the region is changing, and images like this. This is a first communion scene up in the mountains, up in a very dense town in the mountains. But when you understand that 25 years ago, 30 years ago, before the war ended, it was really, really hard for people to be able to do something like this. And now this is normal, and now these kids, for them, it's so normal to go to church, being able to do this, especially to buy a dress and to be able to spend money and time on doing things like this. It's beautiful, So this is the kind of things I'm documenting right now. Of course, there's more layers to this, layers of religion, layers of syncretism, like definitely charged with a commentary on colonialism. But I mean, the topic is so broad, and it's impossible for a Latin American country not to display that, Then again, I'm trying to document like really casual scenes in daily life. This is one of the main Mayan cities, Maya descendant cities, the Spanish conquered, destroyed, and eliminated basically from the map back in the 1500s. It's called Gumarca, was the main city of the Quiche Empire. Now it's kind of like an archaeological park. Is that the right way to say it? It is, right? Archaeological park. Okay. Yeah. It's an archaeological site, and this is a really beautiful image of a middle-class family in the Highlands just hanging out, and just the fact that people now are able to chill, to have the time. This is like a Wednesday afternoon, it's a beautiful scene with the mother, like the first generation, with the regional attire, the textiles, wearing that. Her husband, has a phone. He maybe took a picture, or maybe he's recording the scene that's happening in front of him. He's not wearing regional attire. And then you have a second generation of people with contemporary clothes, they're not wearing the regional attire, just playing around, fooling around. And then you have a third generation, which is basically the next generation who's going to have the power in the Highlands in 2 or 3 decades. I think this is a very, very beautiful scene of a picnic. They're going to have a picnic. You can see down here, there's some kind of purple drink down here, and then there must be food here. But I just wanted to capture those moments where people can like kind of dissect the way I did right now. And there's many layers of this, Then there's also images of how beautiful and wild nature and the landscape is in our territory. I always say that the Western Highlands in Guatemala define us as a nation. There's more to Guatemala. There's a lot. There's jungle, there's deserts, there's beaches and stuff. But the Highlands, the Western Highlands define us in so many different ways. Density is really important. 70% of the population comes from the Highlands. There's more than 20 languages being spoken there. It's amazing. It's so rich. There's so much content. And when I say content, I don't want to treat this as communication. When I say content, it's just as a research tool, And then I start talking about the new generation, This is a kid, like maybe he was 17 years old at the time I shot this image. He's selling goods at the market, at a street market, completely informal, but you can see his haircut, his eyebrows are taking care, you know what I mean? He's wearing a hoodie. He's wearing like a non-branded, whatchamacall that thing on his chest, a fanny pack, okay? But he's so street, you know? He has an iPhone, you know? And I started looking at all these kids on the street with iPhones, and I'm really into TikTok and Instagram. Like I'm like a big Instagram and TikTok head. So I started like bumping into all these kids from the Highlands using the platforms, and it was just fascinating, you know? And then scenes like this is very high and deep in the mountains, about maybe 10 or 12 hours away from Guatemala City. It's hard to get there, but you see these kids, they know what they're doing. And the thing is that it's impossible for me not to feel connected to this. I love hip hop. I loved streetwear, and just being able to see what's happening here, how things are changing, how these kids are making their own aesthetic. It's developing right in front of us. You know, I'm not the first photographer who is interested in this phenomenon. Definitely not. But it's my territory, you know, and I'm being able to do it, and I'm really happy that I'm being able to bump into all the situations, you know, that just let me be connected. Like I'm really interested in being connected to whoever I'm photographing, you know. And then definitely there's many different aspects of religion and syncretism and just rituals that are really important. Like this is a beautiful picture, a beautiful portrait of a young lady up in the Highlands. It's important to mention that her hair is dyed almost blonde. And that's really important because that's something you didn't usually see up in the Highlands up until like 8 or maybe 10 years ago. You know, things are changing, you know. But the most important thing about this image is that she's standing in front of like almost like a medieval cathedral up in the mountains. This town is called Chichicastenango, one of the oldest churches in the Highlands. It's been there for more than 300 years, you know. So it's new generation versus old generation. And right next to it, I think this is going to be the way it's going to be laid out in the book, hopefully. But you have another situation of a ritual, you know. It's a Maya descendant ritual that's about to happen, you know. And we all know what's going to happen to this rooster right in front of us. We know what's going to happen, you know, but we don't think that it's expensive to be able to do this. You know what I mean? So on the picture on the left, I'm talking about economics. I'm talking about people being able to communicate and do their rituals and live their culture, but economics are changing, so they're being able to do it. I don't know if that was the right phrasing of what I'm trying to say. If you have a question, please let's do it at the end, okay? And then I bump into, we're gonna start talking about the metal in the mouth, you know? I bumped into this sign. This is in Quetzaltenango, big town, second biggest city in Guatemala. And yeah, the dental place is called Genesis. So it's just one of those things that happens, you know, so cliche, but I don't care. It's not gonna be the cover of the book though, but it's just magical, you know, I love it. And yeah, in Tonatu, as you could see, and you can see also in my Instagram account or my website, if you wanna see that book, and then I can show you guys the PDF if you want. There's a couple of encounters with the metal in the mouth, you know, because when I was doing Tonatu, I wanted to find gold. I felt like I needed to show gold, and I wasn't finding the chains, I wasn't finding the rings, I wasn't finding the bling, because I really wanted to show bling, you know, in that matter. When I say bling, I'm talking about bling. I'm talking about people showing power through jewelry. For me, it was really important. And in Tonatu, I was really shy about it. But then I discovered that people are putting the metal in their mouths, you know? And that beautiful circular story of the Mayans doing it thousands of years ago, putting conch, putting jade, and putting bone in their mouths to show power. Only the royalty was able to do that. it was magical for me to see that when I was doing Tonatu, but to really understand it and to really being able to show it without fear. I was really shy when I was doing Tonatu. Haven't shot in 7 years. Haven't shot a roll of film in like 10 years when I started doing this project, you know? So I was really shy. Now I'm not. Now I'm like even like going closer and just like enjoying and just showing the generational change, you know? And then through research, you just discover that people are not putting gold anymore. You know, this is like cheap Chinese alloys that are coming from Asia. And cancer, it's almost tripling, according to what the dental technicians say, because just people are putting cheap metal in their mouth, but they don't care. And I think it's worrying, definitely, but it's just beautiful, you know? And then I kind of feel like the new generations are so in tune with technology, in tune with contemporary messages and communication, that maybe some of them, and this is something I think about, and this is my opinion, my humble opinion, is that maybe some of them are not doing it because they want to pay tribute to the Mayans or tribute to what people have been doing for centuries in the Highlands, but they're really into hip hop. They're really into reggaeton, you know, and the aesthetics are mixing. It's a hybrid, and it's beautiful. It's great what's going on there. Then I'm also really into fashion. There's nothing I can do about it. When I did Tonatu, I was really shy about people knowing I used to be a fashion photographer and like that showing through my work. But now I'm just out there, you know, there's nothing I can do. I love shooting portraits, and I just love having that RZ with the 110 and like just going really close to people, you know, just exactly what I was shooting 20 years ago in New York. I'm able to do that now, but now I know better. I know more, and I'm being able to like see myself through in the work, you know. And then again, here I talk about bling again. You know, it's really important for me how people want to show power. And it's not only a thing about music or streetwear or lifestyle. It's not only about that. There are so many more layers to what's going on economically in the Highlands. Probably the three most important pillars of the economy in the Highlands are religion, money sent from the US, immigration money, and agriculture, you know. And there's so much of the narco culture and money being laundered on every single pillar of the economics in the Highlands, you know. I'm getting into that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk about it that bluntly and open because it's dangerous, but on the picture on the left, you can definitely see, you know, AK-47s, it's either war or narco culture, you know. War ended 25 years ago. Like, people don't have their head wrapped around that anymore, you know. Narco culture, cartel culture is huge. More than 90% of the cocaine consumed in the United States travels through Guatemala. So it's a big, huge problem. It's a huge reality in our economy. And then again, just like being able to show I like to call them B-sides. I always go back to this. I always do that analogy with music, because I want to take those pictures that are not that touristy porn kind of image that you would expect from a country like ours. But yeah, I like to think more about my images as a B-side, you know, as something that you just walked in front, but you didn't see. And then you like go back and say like, oh yeah, that's what I saw. And then take the picture, you know. And little things like this are really exciting for me. Definitely technology, it's really exciting for me. And just the way technology, fashion, and globalization, basically, it's taking over, you know, and it's changing. Everything is changing, and I'm being able to document that, you know. Luxury. It's a book about luxury, definitely. You know, maybe you don't buy an expensive car, but you get a guacamaya, which is a really colorful parrot that it's only supposed to be in the jungle, but no, you have it in the mountains. Why? Because you have the money to get like $1,000 bird. You know what I mean? I think it's beautiful the way people are communicating and being able to just through lifestyle elements through daily life elements, how people are being able to become something different, you know. And definitely the aesthetics are really important for me. I'm really into the aesthetics of the new generation, you know, girls dyeing their hair, girls with extensions, wearing the beautiful, amazing regional attires that are such an important part of our culture, you know. But then, of course, this girl is into Rosalia, you know. She's looking at those nails, you know. She's on TikTok. She knows what's going on, you know. Just the, like, her makeup and everything, it's beautiful. And I'm just trying to show people that besides gaining things, we're also losing things, like just the regional fruits that used to like grow wild in the mountains and in the fields. Now you have to pay like $8 to be able to consume this fruit that used to be wild. Why? Because no one is into it anymore. People are, avocado is huge. Avocado is huge down in Guatemala. That's another aspect of the agriculture, you know. And zapote, it used to be a sacred fruit for the pre-Columbian people, and now it's disappearing, you know. So it's important just to like show people both sides of the story. Really important. Hybrids, you know, again, narcoculture, cowboys. It's the mountains, you know. There's no cows up there, just for milk sometimes, but it's not a huge cowboy town, you know. But people are into it, you know. Like the aesthetics are insane, you know. And yeah, that's a lot of what I'm doing now. It's work in progress. I'm about to be there. I'm about to get there. I think I'm 90% into what I need to do with the shooting. I was explaining to Emily and Arthur a few minutes ago that there's this thing with the gold and the metal that it's really important for me, and the repetition, you know. It might not be a typology, but just a repetition of the idea, because you just see it so much in the highlands. It's really important for me. But the exercise of finding people with metal in their mouths goes through, it's after I see them smiling. So I'm really stuck now because everyone's wearing masks. So I'm not being able to see people smiling, and I'm not being able to see who has metal in their mouth. So I'm a little bit stuck with the shooting right now, but I know I'm gonna fix it, you know. And this image closes the presentation because it talks a lot about first the project, and second Guatemala, and third myself. First the project because I'm after metal, I'm after gold, I'm after bling, I'm after these things I feel identified with, and finally I'm being able to find that up in the mountains, where I think it's the place that defines us. Yeah, metal, it's really important. It has been important for millennia, and it's important again. You know, there are many analogies and metaphors when it comes to the importance of metal. You know, now it's easier to get because there's more money, but also where's that money coming from? It's a conversation of the new reality. You know, I wish I could predict the future of what's going to happen, and I really wish in 25 years we see houses like in Bolivia, you know, like $1 million mansions with that beautiful pre-Columbian inspired architecture. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I do know that definitely there's something cooking. And I think this work, it's kind of a witness of what's going to happen in a near future. And I'm really happy to be able to like document it and especially share it with you guys. And I'm really excited to talk about it. So yeah, I'm done with images and talking.
Thanks, Juan. That was really great. And super insightful. I learned so much. Yeah, I wonder if, well, we have a couple of questions in the chat, and if you have others, please jot them down and post them in the chat. And I mean, so I'll direct these to you now if you're okay with that, Juan. So there's a question from William about, yeah, being a self-taught photographer in visual arts. What advice would you give to a Latinx photographer who wants to create deeper images? Where do I start?
Wow, yeah, that's insane. I think it's really important to, first of all, be comfortable with what you want to talk about. You know, for the longest time, I wasn't comfortable with anything because I wasn't comfortable with myself. And the photography process for me is really personal. And I really wanted to know about what I was talking about, to know and I really wanted to have an opinion. I wanted to talk, you know. I was really shy when I made Tonatu because I didn't have that voice, you know. So regarding to this, I think the best place to start, it's maybe putting the camera away for a second and just being really focused on what you want to talk about, what's important for you, you know. Like, come on, guys. Like, I published Tonatu 5 months, 6 months right before Black Lives Matter and the whole movement and how the world changed. I was extremely lucky. You know, I was standing in the right place at the right time with that work, you know? So it's not that I identified that was gonna happen. I didn't know that was gonna happen, but now I know what's important for me to talk about, you know? And definitely, I think a starting point is to know what you wanna talk about and being comfortable in knowing, researching. You're always gonna make mistakes. There's definitely at some point you're gonna make mistakes because, come on, we're not historians, you know? And I'm using history as a tool to like back up my images, you know? So knowing where to start, it's knowing what you wanna talk about. That's definitely something huge.
Great, thanks, Juan. There's a couple of questions that maybe are somewhat tied together. A question about your inspiration, and also a question from Darren, who wanted to know if you had advice for photographers who want to pursue the artistic and emotional driven work that is not recognized by mainstream platforms or doesn't fall in line with what is relevant in our current culture of overconsumption. Hopefully that makes sense. And then, yes, the question about inspiration. Where do you go for inspiration?
Okay, the first question, and Darren talks about artistic, emotional driven work that is not recognized by mainstream platforms. I don't agree 100% with that because Instagram changed my life. I'm sitting here right now because of Instagram. You know what I mean? I'm in Guatemala, guys. It's complex. It's complex. It's the third world. I mean, we do have internet, we do have everything, but it's complex. And one of the things I was so used to when I was a fashion photographer in New York is that everything's there. We have nothing here, you know? But when I understood the tools, and when we talk about the platforms, I don't know if maybe Darren can tell us if he considers Instagram as a mainstream platform. If you consider Instagram as a mainstream platform, then I don't agree because Instagram changed my life. The thing is that what I did, I was really mathematical and strategic in the way I show my work, how I talk about it, who I follow, when I post, and all these things that come with experience. And you know what's insane? It's that most people think I'm really young, and I'm not. I'm 43 years old. I've been shooting for more than 20 years, but people just started like seeing my name here and there. you know, and then I get nominated for a first book award, and then I win that up and coming talent stuff. But no, dude, I'm old. You know what I mean? So I kind of have all that. How to say in English? In Spanish, you say maña. If someone knows, help me. I don't know. I just know what I used to do when I was a fashion photographer. I kind of know how to write emails to editors, you know, and it's like that. Like right now, we don't go to parties to bump into the people. You just follow the right people and comment on the right people, you know. So I think mainstream platforms are designed to show whatever you want, you know. It's just a matter of being focused and being strategic.
Tricks.
Does that answer the question?
People are responding to your question about that word.
Craft tricks. Yeah, tricks. Could be tricks, craft. Yeah. Yeah, trickery. Yeah. You know, you gotta know, but that's something you don't learn. And we were speaking about that. I wish I could go to school. You know, I'm self-taught. We're talking about that. And that's definitely something you learn when you are out on the field working. So I'm using the same kind of like streetwise little things I did when I was a fashion photographer. I'm doing it, but I'm doing it on Instagram, you know, and it's working. It's working, definitely.
Okay, so we have several questions. And one from Casey. What was your process of research and subsequent image making? Visualizing the space.
I didn't answer Ronnie's. Where do you go for inspiration?
Oh, yes.
Sorry.
Yes,
Sorry about that. Oh my God, that's very broad. But definitely music. Music, it's really important for me. I really wanted to be a musician. I wanted to be so many things before being a photographer. I really wanted to be a musician. So music, it's a big, big inspiration. Definitely movies and stuff. Other photographers. That's a really broad question, you know. Yeah, but music, yeah, definitely music.
Okay. And then about your process, visualizing a space in a country that already has this touristy image associated with it. How did you navigate your own image making process?
Yeah. This is really funny. When I started doing photography and I left Guatemala, more than what? Oh my God, 30 years ago. Yeah. 1998. Wow. No. 20 something years ago. Okay. When I left, I swore I was never going to shoot pictures of volcanoes, native people smiling, or lakes. It was nauseous for me to see those images because that was the preconception, the aesthetic preconception you had of a place like Guatemala. 20 something years later, I'm on my third book about beautiful landscapes, beautiful people from this territory, and there's going to be pictures of a lake. Definitely. It's impossible not to have pictures of a lake when you're from Guatemala. It's so complex because I'm at a point right now where I have to evolve. I have to change my discourse. I have to change what I'm talking about. Otherwise, I'm going to be stuck because it's the topic is so broad and so thick and so dense, you know. There's so much content in a place like this, and that's everywhere, you know. Once you feel identified with something and you understand, and you kind of click a connection with a place, like a territory in my case, there's so much to do, you know. But I'm overwhelmed. I'm definitely overwhelmed because it's a balance of the accidents and the magic of what you don't know what's going to happen and what you know what to do. When I go out and shoot, I have images I know I need to shoot, you know, and when you find them, you go like, whoa, this is beautiful, it's amazing. But those accidents are really important too. So I'm at a point where I need to evolve and I need to change right now. And yeah, I mean, Guatemala is always going to be the most important territory and place for me. But I feel like now I have to talk more about people and not a territory.
Great. Maybe this question is related to that a bit. How's the Guatemalan art scene, the photography scene from your point of view? And it's a question from Andy, and Andy's curious as someone involved in the arts as well and being of Guatemalan descent.
Yeah. Wow. I so know I'm gonna get in trouble right now. I've always known that my work, it's okay. I'm gonna rephrase that. Even though I know I'm gonna get in trouble. Basically, people don't care about my work here. They don't, because the problematics and the topics I'm trying to talk about are so ours and are so daily life here, then definitely people down here are not either interested or they don't like the way I talk about them. But people are not understanding that I really don't identify with the Latin American photography movement because my formation was in the US. You know what I mean? I learned how to be a photographer at the same time I was learning English. You know what I mean? Reading books in the library and fashion magazine was the way I learned how to speak English. So my formation is not a Latin American visual formation, you know? And I think maybe that's one of the reasons why my work is resonating and people are paying attention to it in the United States and in Europe. It's because I don't have that kind of Latin American stigma of images that portray either poverty or those really complex problematics. I am not a news photographer or a documentary photographer. I don't really know what I am. I just know I love to shoot people and what's around them and kind of put together a collection of images, just putting it out there, you know, so people do an interpretation by themselves. You know, I think the Guatemalan scene don't want to do that, you know, and especially not with work like mine. I love the Guatemalan art scene. I was part of it. I was part of it in the 90s, and I was part of it when I came back again in the late 2000 and before 2010. You know, I've been part of the Guatemalan scene a couple of times, and it's beautiful. It's so raw and full of energy, and it's changing, and it's amazing, and it kind of hurts not to be a part of it, you know. But I also need to understand where I'm standing in my reality. In my reality, it's that my market is definitely more open to what I want to say. The market is more open to what I want to say in the US and Europe. That's the reality.
Okay. There's a question from James about your transition from doing fashion work and whether your experience doing fashion work has informed your work in Guatemala. I think something that we had talked about a little bit earlier, but I wonder if you can elaborate.
Yeah. This is something really important, really personal, but I'm open, you know, I'm transparent. I try to be transparent and honest. My problem in New York is that I knew I was never gonna be Mario Sorrenti or Steven Meisel or those are old school fashion photographers. I don't know about new ones. I knew I wasn't gonna be cream of the crop. I knew I wasn't gonna be a top. I knew I wasn't gonna be shooting Yves Saint Laurent or all those big campaigns. I knew I wasn't gonna be that. And that destroyed me. You know, I had a really decent run. Some people are like, dude, you're too hard on yourself. I mean, I did amazing things. I had amazing clients. I did amazing projects, beautiful images, you know. I didn't know back then that I wanted my stuff to be deep and I wanted to talk, you know. I thought a visual language was enough. I thought being able to construct amazing, outstanding images was enough, and that's not enough. Coming back here, and it was a very, very personal reason. I had problems, you know. I had mental problems, you know what I mean? Mental health wasn't seen as it is right now, you know what I mean? And I just had problems with substances and partying, and the New York life, it's insane. Those of you that are in New York know how it is, you know what I mean? And it was way too it was way too stressful for me. You know, I had a breakdown. I had a mental breakdown, and I had to come down to Guatemala to be able to like basically find myself again. And I decided that photography wasn't going to be a part of the new me, but that was a lie. It's impossible. I couldn't stop thinking about photography, just like I cannot stop thinking about music. You know, I'm always going to be a musician, and I'm always going to be a photographer. And when I felt that I was ready, I wasn't, but you're never ready. I just had to stop researching and doing a project, you know? And basically what I did is that I did everything in ways I've never worked before. You know, being a fashion photographer, you're used to everything being out there. You're used to people doing makeup. You're used to people bringing the models. You're used to people doing stuff for you, and you just direct. Having to go out up in the mountains and asking people around for portraits, that's something I've never done. Doing street photography, something I've never done. And I'm such a dumbass that I do it with a Mamiya RC67. I shoot street photography with a huge medium format camera. So I'm just like a red spot out there for people to either make fun of me or get robbed. You know what I mean? But I don't care. I'm just doing whatever I never did before, I'm doing now. And it's a transition that has to do with this new cycle in my life more than the territory. It's more about me doing stuff I never thought I was going to be able to do before.
Okay, great. Maybe related to the question of portraiture and doing street photography with this, you know, medium format camera. Question from Faisal about whether, you know, these encounters with people in your photographic process, whether you get permission from them, or how does it work when the book is being circulated around the world?
Wow, that's really, really extremely complex. I think Philippe Lorca de Corcha fixed that for us like 25 years ago with the headshots. You basically can shoot pictures of anyone and show them. Mm-hmm. But it's really important that every portrait in my work, you know that people know I'm shooting them, I'm photographing them. That's really important for me. Now I'm gonna go back into when I started shooting pictures again. I did not want to do portraits. Tonatu was gonna be a book of landscape and little still lives of little stuff that was around there. That was Tonatu. I did not want to shoot portraits because there's many really complex things. First of all, I didn't have the confidence to walk up to people and talk to them and saying, can I please shoot your portrait? I didn't know how to do that. I didn't want to do that. That was the most uncomfortable thing for me. That was the first thing. But like I said, it's me with a huge camera that it's extremely noisy. People get really curious, and I shoot Polaroid. So I'm shooting with a camera, I'm shooting Polaroid. People come up to me and they ask me, what are you doing? So there's no other way for me to explain to them what I'm doing besides showing them little Polaroids. And they understand because the physicality of that Polaroid opened the doors for me, because people were like, oh my God, I want this picture. I want this. So finally, I found a way to give something back. Guatemala, it's an extremely dangerous country to be around with a camera, especially in the mountains. People are incendiary. People get really pissed off. And it's not because they think their soul is being taken away. No, it's because they're not Mickey Mouse. They don't want to be like shot like they're like pets. You know what I mean? But the thing is that I started building these connections with people through Polaroids and through the big camera and through the process. And at some point, like, I had all the confidence I needed to start shooting portraits, you know? And I felt like with Tonatu, with that first project, some people didn't really understand 100% what I was doing, but they knew I was being honest and I was being transparent. It's extremely important for me to tell people what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So the relations build there, you know? But now what I do is if I see someone that it's interesting for me, I never show up with a camera. I never carry a camera around, only when I'm shooting. If I see someone that is interesting for me, I go talk to them, build a little bit of a relation right there. And at some point they're going to ask. And if they don't ask, then I ask. And like, yeah, a lot of people say no, you know? And when it comes down to what happens with the rights of the images, what you're circulating in the book, it's contemporary art, man. You can show those pictures, definitely. And you can go around and you can sell the images, you can sell the book, you can do it, you know? You have to be transparent. People need to know you're doing this and that it's personal work, and at some point that could be commercial. I mean, it's about being honest. If that doesn't answer the question, shoot it again.
Okay, maybe we have we'll have time for one more question. Duquan wanted to know if you can give some advice for photographers that are working on a book or want to pursue a book project.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna be fast with this one because I want to answer another one that I just read there. Okay, but I love books. I live for books. Look at that. That's one, and then there's more back here. I don't know if you see it, but there's many, many books here. I have 2,000 books. I love photography books. So I knew I had to make books. I knew I could. Well, I thought I could. I want it, and I did it. I think books are the best way to show a collection of images that want to communicate a point. You know, I don't know exactly what the message is yet, but I know a collection of images where people can choose and where people can be part of the interpretation of the message is the best way to show a project. Making books is extremely hard. I don't understand how Tonatu, that first book, why and how it became what it became. I was extremely lucky, but also I think all these years of thinking and strategy and like thinking and rethinking my process were really helpful, because editing, it's what the magic is when you edit. That sequence, it's magic. That's why Paul Graham is what it is. That's why Gregory Halpern, and like Ron Jude and all these guys are like gods of photography, because they know how to sequence, how to edit, and how to present images. So my advice would be just look at those books a lot, because they have a lot to teach you. Do I have time to answer one more, or are we done?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Faisal asks, how do you solve the dilemma of showing the progress of your body of work, but at the same time wanting to save it for the final product and have it unedited? I don't think my stuff is that cool, dude. And I don't think the magic is gonna be lost if people see all those images. Tonatu, maybe 95% of the images in Tonatu, actually, Tonatu has 87 images, and I published like 75 of them on Instagram, and a lot of people saw them. And I think that only made people wanted to see the book more and buy the book more, because they saw the images, and the images had messages. You know, this is really personal and subjective. I know showing your work, it's really important, unless you are Gregory Crutzen, or unless you are a photography god that can have the luxury of not showing their work around, and people just like avalanching to their work, you know? Like, I would buy any book Paul Graham puts out. I bought the one from Paris, you know, the one, like the 5 rolls he shot inside the apartment in Paris, and I have it and I love it, but I'm not Paul Graham. So I feel like showing your work is extremely important. Being out there and being honest and transparent of why you're showing it, I think that's gonna make people want to see more.
Well,
All right.
yeah, thank you so much, Juan, and
Thank you, guys.
everyone for joining us. Juan, I just like the transparency and your openness is wonderful, and sure everyone here appreciates it. It's a breath of fresh air, especially during an artist talk. So thank you so much. Arthur, I don't know if you want to say any last words or anything.
Just to echo the thank you and the appreciation of the honesty and the enthusiasm, as people have noted already. So thanks so much. And I look forward to Genesis. Let us know when it's released.
Thank you very much. Soon. It's coming. It's coming. Thank you very much, guys. Again, this is a dream. Being part of this, it's a dream. Thanks for everyone that was here. Thanks for all the questions. My email is somewhere there, or go to my website. If you have any other question, please write me an email. I will be more than happy to answer any question. Any question.
Awesome. Thank you, Juan. And everyone, don't forget to get your copy of Cosmologies, where you can see some of the work from Genesis. It's a really beautiful portfolio, and a nice essay also is tied to the pictures. So please get your copy today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening, and see you all later.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.